UFC 267, Blachowicz versus Teixeira takes place in only a matter of hours, and I'm going to go through my last minute detailed prediction and breakdown for every single fight on the card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event. I'm not just saying who I believe is going to win, I'm trying to call every single fight exactly how it's going to go, round after round, what the scorecards are going to be, what submission will be achieved if there's going to be a submission, what round it will be achieved in, what limb is going to be used for a knockout. I'm calling everything exactly how it's going to go, starting with the early prelim opener of Tagir Ulanbekov versus Allan Nascimento. I'm looking forward to this one. I believe here's how the fight's going to go. Allan Nascimento is going to go out there swinging heavy in the first round, and I think he's going to land a couple of decent shots on Tagir Ulanbekov and be the bigger guy early on, but then Tagir Ulanbekov will get a sudden takedown in the first round towards the halfway point. Allan Nascimento, however, is going to have a very dangerous guard game, land some decent shots off of his back, go for an armbar, go for a triangle, go for a leg lock, something like this, and Tagir Ulanbekov is going to survive on top, land his ground and pound, but because of the early shots on the feet and the activity with submission attempts on the ground, the first round is going to go to Allan Nascimento Ferreira. I don't even know if his surname's Ferreira, I just added that on for no reason. Could be Da Silva, Dos Santos, anything, he's Brazilian. Tagir Ulanbekov, in the second and third round, is this time going to start doing better on the feet. He's going to ease into the fight a bit more. Allan Nascimento is still going to be coming out strong in the first minute of each round. Tagir will start landing some good shots, clinching up with Allan Nascimento in the middle against the cage, landing some good knees to the thigh, landing some good knees to the body. He's going to start shooting some takedowns, getting him against the cage, starting to control Allan Nascimento, and Allan Nascimento is not going to be as explosive anymore. And in the second and third round, he's not going to have the same amount of submission attempts. He's going to get outlanded on the ground, and Tagir Ulanbekov will win this one with pressure and pace and grappling at 29-28 based on the last two rounds. Moving on up the card, Yaozong versus Ondřej Petrovski. Looking forward to this one as well. This is a great matchup in the middleweight division. I'm worried about my pick of Ondřej Petrovski because I watched the weigh-ins and Yaozong is... he's a very big guy, let's just say. Okay, and I didn't realise he was that big of a guy, but he's a very big guy, but he was wearing shoes. Petrovski wasn't. Let's talk about the fight. I believe I'm going to stick with my guns. Ondřej Petrovski will get a submission win inside the first round via arm triangle choke. At the end of the first round, I believe he's going to go out there, leg kick Yaozong a couple of times. Yaozong is then going to land some leg kicks back, land some decent shots back on Petrovski. Petrovski's going to land a big shot back. Yaozong's starting to get the rhythm of things. He's starting to land a couple of good shots on the feet, but then Ondřej Petrovski's going to catch a kick, catch something, duck under a punch, get down Yaozong to the ground in the first round, get on top, take mount immediately, land some big shots, take side control, land some good punches in from the crucifix position. Yaozong going to roll over, give up his back. Ondřej's going to take the backside, land big shots on Yaozong in the round again, keep positional control, take the back. Yaozong rolls over again. This time Ondřej Petrovski from the full mount position slides off, gets the arm triangle in the first round against Yaozong. I think he wins this one with one takedown, getting Yaozong to the ground and just dominating him on top with good submission attempts and good ground and pound as well. Moving on up the card, Makwan Amirkhani versus Lerone Murphy. I believe in the first round, Makwan Amirkhani is going to come out there. He's going to land a decent shot early on, but Lerone Murphy's going to start picking at him, landing leg kicks, landing a couple of good body shots, landing a couple of good stiff jabs to the face as well. Makwan Amirkhani's then going to shoot for a takedown, push Lerone Murphy up against the cage. Murphy will defend it at first, land some good shots, maybe some tight elbows, Travis Brown style on the side of Makwan Amirkhani's head. Makwan will eventually get the takedown just through pure strength, grabbing Lerone Murphy and just suplexing him in the center of the cage, away from the cage. Lerone Murphy will scramble back to his feet, but Makwan will take one hook in on the back against the cage. That'll be the situation. A couple of decent punches from Makwan Amirkhani. He's trying to work from the backside. He's trying to take both hooks. Lerone Murphy turns it round in a clinch, lands a couple of good knees to the body, lands an elbow on the break. They separate back to the middle of the cage. Makwan Amirkhani again shoots for another takedown, gets it, but this time Lerone Murphy gets back up, lands a couple of good elbows again, gets the double underhooks against the cage, lands some good knees to the body. He's then going to go out there and land some decent shots at range, separating from the clinch, land some good ones. Makwan's going to shoot again. He's going to get it. He's going to end on top. He's going to land some big shots at the end of round one, but it'll be too little, too late. Lerone Murphy has done all the damage in the round. He's landed the better shots. He wins round one. In the second round, Makwan shoots again, Gets stuffed, lands some good knees to the body, does Lerone Murphy. Makwan starting to slow down. He's failing a couple of shots in a row. He goes for one big slam after controlling Lerone Murphy up against the cage. Slams Murphy in the center of the cage, but Lerone Murphy again refuses to stay on the ground. Scrambles, he's in a convenient position. Uses the wizard to get back to his feet after a suplex in the middle of the cage. Makwan starting to not like it too much. He's eating some more knees to the body. He's eating some more Travis Brown elbows as he goes for a double leg that's not quite in. He has to evacuate the double leg, go back up to the clinch, eat some more knees to the body. Now Lerone Murphy turns him round. Makwan shoots out of panic. Lerone Murphy lands big shots. Makwan rolls to his back and expects Lerone Murphy to enter his guard. Lerone Murphy obliges, lands some big ground and pound shots, and finishes Makwan Amirkhani in the second round via TKO to ground strikes. Moving on up the card, Shamil Gamzatov versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. I'm going to be going with Shamil Gamzatov. Simple one, really. I think he's just going to minorly outstrike Michal Oleksiejczuk on the feet for 3 rounds. I don't think any guy's going to get a takedown here. I think they're going to be clinching against the cage a little bit. I think Shamil's going to win those moments. He's the bigger guy. He's the stronger guy. I think he'll control Michal Oleksiejczuk against the cage, push him around a little bit, land some good knees to the body in there, separate, land some decent shots at range, leg kicks, body kicks, couple of front kicks to the body, couple of jabs, couple of right hands. Nothing too major. I think Michal's going to be looking to rush forward with left hooks and right hands. I think he's going to get tagged a couple of times whilst doing that, and I think eventually Shamil Gamzatov will establish range after a bit of an entertaining first round, and then start to pick apart Michal Oleksiejczuk in the second and third. From range, his leg kicks and body kicks will start to add up, and he'll slowly take over the striking match from range and control distance well against Michal. That's all I got. 30-27, Shamil Gamzatov. Moving on up the card, Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos versus Benoit St. Denis. I'm going to go with Benoit St. Denis here. I think he's going to go out there, try swinging some decent shots with Elizeu early. I think he's going to go immediately out there and land some good leg kicks. Elizeu's going to start landing them back. Benoit's not going to like that too much. He's going to go forward, try and land some big punches. I think he'll get caught with a counter hook again, but then he'll rush Elizeu against the cage, get the clinch there, start kneeing at the thigh, start throwing Zaleski to the ground, who'll then work back up to his feet, but then St. Benoit's going to get one hook in from the side. He's going to start kneeing up the thigh again with some stronger ones. This time Elizeu Zaleski he's going to sink down to one knee against the cage, and Benoit's going to have a bit more of a height advantage over him there. Knee the thigh again, land a couple of good shots to the face. Elizeu gets back up. Benoit lands a knee to the face against the clinch. Down goes Elizeu again. Not being hurt or anything like that. I just think he's going to be smothered against the cage. Benoit's going to grab him, throw him into the center of the cage, get on top, land some big shots on him again. I think it's going to be a bit of a hectic start of the first round, but I think this is eventually how it's going to end up. Sticky takedown attempts from St. Benoit, and I think he's going to go out there and just drag Elizeu in the first round. Elizeu's going to get back to his feet, go against the cage, separate, land some good shots at the end of the round again, but I think you're going to give the round maybe to Elizeu barely in the first. Who knows? It's going to be questionable. Who do you give that round to? Elizeu barely landed more significant strikes, but Benoit had the takedowns and a couple of good moments on the ground as well. I think in the second round, Elizeu's going to be worrying about the takedown too much, which means Benoit's going to get the takedown in the second round, get on top, land some good shots, try and take the mount position, try and take side control, get to those positions, land good shots from there. Elizeu's going to buck and move and give up his back. That's when Benoit takes the back, gets the rear naked choke, and puts it in at the end of round 2 by submission. I'm going with Benoit St. Denis with an upset win. Moving on up the card, Albert Duraev versus Roman Kopylov. I'm going with Albert Duraev. Rear naked choke submission again. I think it's going to happen at the end of round 1 here against Roman Kopylov. I think both guys are going to go out there. Of course, they're fighting each other. That's the obvious part. Anyone could call that one. Roman Kopylov is going to land some decent shots on the feet. Duraev's going to land a couple of decent shots back as well. Then Roman Kopylov's going to go for like a front kick to the body. Duraev's going to catch it, push him against the cage, get the double leg, take him down, get him on the ground. Roman's going to be sitting up against the cage like McGregor, Khabib round 1 style. McGregor somewhat doing okay, mitigating the problems. On top, not on top, but he's on bottom, but he's got the height advantage down there. He's landed some shots on Duraev, the side of his head, the body shots as well. Duraev starts to pass over, starts to cliff side the legs, the Khabib Nurmagomedov way, triangle off the legs of Roman Kopylov, get the wrist control, land a couple of shots. Kopylov bucks and weaves, gives up his back. Rear naked chokes there all day for Duraev. Roman Kopylov gave up his back the same way to Carl Robertson in the third round, who's a striker, who got the rear naked choke on him. I think he's going to give up the back again while trying to get back to his feet, and I think Duraev is going to sink in the rear naked choke. Middle of the first round, submission win for Duraev. Moving on up the card, Ricardo Ramos versus Zubaira Tukhugov. I'm going to go with Zubaira Tukhugov losing this one by decision. I think Ricardo Ramos is going to go out there Land some good shots to the body and the legs in the first round. I think he's going to land a couple of good shots upstairs as well. Zubaira is going to have some moments where he lands a couple of big shots on Ricardo Ramos and just basically outlands him at range in general. But I think Ricardo's going to be doing more of the investment shots in the first round. I think he's going to try clinching up with Zubaira a couple of times, pushing him against the cage, landing a couple of knees. But most of all, in the first round, Zubaira is going to be outlanding him, landing 1-2s, landing a couple of good stiff jabs here and there, landing some good body shots of his own, but not as much as Ramos. And then Tukhugov at the end of the round is going to start to slow a bit. He's going to crack Ramos with a big shot. Ramos is going to sort of move backwards a bit, sort of watch out for himself, be a little bit more cautious. Tukhugov closes the distance, but Ramos throws like a spinning elbow and it sort of like fends Tukhugov away a little bit. Second round comes around. Ramos is starting to pick apart the body and the legs a little bit more. Tukhugov's still swinging hard, but he's starting to miss a few more punches than he was in the first round, and he's also starting to breathe a little bit heavier. In the second round, he lands some good shots. He has some moments, but overall, Ramos is going to win the round, clinching against the cage, kneeing to the body, lands a couple of good front kicks to the body at range, couple of good 1-2s as well, and I think eventually he might have like one hook in on the back against the cage. Zubaira breaks out of it, lands a couple of good shots of his own, but overall, the second round's going to Ramos. The third round is also going to be Ramos's round. I think he's going to have a very dominant round, and I think Zubaira is barely going to survive. He's going to act like he won the second round and act like he won the fight, and I think Ricardo Ramos is going to win this one by 29-28 split decision, even though he should have won anyway, 29-28 based on the second and third round, because there's going to be biased judging towards Zubaira Tukhugov, the superstar, and I think he's going to get a split decision loss to Ricardo Ramos. Ramos 2-1 on rounds. Moving on up the card, Amanda Ribas versus Virna Jandiroba. I'm going to go with Amanda Ribas, 30-27 decision here. I think Virna Jandiroba is going to try pushing her up against the cage, going to try landing some big shots at range that are all going to miss. I think she's going to try and get her down to the ground, but Ribas is going to defend well, have a couple of submission attempts, work her way back to her feet. Amanda Ribas over the 3 rounds is going to scoot around, outland Virna Jandiroba at range, land good leg kicks, land good body kicks, land some good 1-2s and jabs. For 3 rounds, I think it's going to be a reasonably okay bout. Don't think it's going to be too entertaining. I think it's probably going to be like a first round, 20 strikes to 11 for Amanda Ribas. Second round, 19 to 13 for Amanda Ribas. And in the third round, probably be like a 16 to 10 for Amanda Ribas. Just outlanding Virna Jandiroba at range with 1-2s movement and then just stuffing the takedowns and just sort of working your way out from being back against the cage whenever Virna tries to close the distance and push you there. And I think that's what it's going to be. Ribas being more effective at range and winning the fight from there. Moving on up the card to the main card. Magomed Ankalaev versus Volkan Oezdemir. I'm going to be going with Magomed Ankalaev, and I'm going to pick Magomed Ankalaev to win this one via 29-28 unanimous decision, but it's going to be a bit different. I'm going to go with Ankalaev winning the first round here against Volkan Oezdemir. I think he'll land the better shots. I think he'll maybe have a moment where he looks like he's maybe caught Volkan Oezdemir with a head kick or something. Oezdemir blocks it, but it sort of wraps around the guard and hits him with the foot. And Oezdemir sort of backs up like Vettori did against Costa. Ankalaev starts pressuring, doesn't see the finish, backs up a bit, still landing shots at range. I think Oezdemir is going to be landing a lot of leg kicks in the first round. Maybe about 5 of them in the first round. Couple of good jabs as well, as Magomed Ankalaev sort of lands check hooks and right hands as well, and a couple of body kicks and some front kicks to the body. Couple of leg kicks of his own, couple of head kicks. But Oezdemir is going to keep chopping at the leg in the first round, but lose it to activity from Ankalaev and the big moment where he looked like he almost had him with that head kick that wrapped around the guard. Second round comes around. Ankalaev shoots a takedown, fails it, pushes Oezdemir up against the cage, knees him to the thigh a little bit. They separate after about a minute of being against the cage in the second round. Oezdemir starting to land some good leg kicks on Magomed Ankalaev. Ankalaev still landing back on the feet, but this time Ozdemir's leg kicks are landing at a bit of a higher rate. He's landed about 8 or 9 of them, 4 minutes deep into the second round. Ankalaev still landing some good shots, still staying in the fight, but this time Ozdemir's up on strikes, and the leg kicks are starting to be a factor here against Ankalaev. Ankalaev pushes him against the cage again, goes for a takedown at the end of round 2 with about a minute left, gets the takedown, but Oezdemir looks up at the clock. He figures he's won the round. He lands some total strikes. Ankalaev lands some total strikes. Second round closely goes to Volkan Oezdemir. In the third round, Ankalaev lands a big shot early, lands a couple of decent shots. Oezdemir goes to kick the leg again. This time, Ankalaev catches the leg kick because he's expecting it. Ozdemir's been doing it a lot throughout the fight. Catches the leg kick, pushes Oezdemir backwards, ends up on top in side control because of catching the leg kick, and just starts landing total strikes to a unanimous decision victory. 29-28, wins the third round on top, landing total strikes, and he gets this one done via 29-28, first and third round decision. Moving on up the card, Li Jingliang versus Khamzat Chimaev. I'm going to go with Khamzat Chimaev winning this one via I reckon he's going to get this one done by second round. No. Yeah. Yeah, second round TKO I'll go with. I'll say second round TKO. I believe the first round, they're going to be very, very patient. There's going to be about a minute of feinting leg kicks and jabs at each other from range. They're both going to swing, miss a couple of shots in a row. Chimaev's going to pick up Li Jingliang from the clinch when they clinch up. Sort of muscle him over to the cage, but Li Jingliang's going to get underhooks. Chimaev's going to land a couple of knees on him, land a couple of punches in the clinch with his head positioning there as well, and Jingliang's going to separate himself, and they sort of get away in the first moments of the grappling exchanges that they have. Then they're both going to swing again on the feet. They're both going to miss again. This time Chimaev times a good takedown in the first round. Gets Li Jingliang down after he misses a big shot and Chimaev misses his. Dives a double leg underneath it. Sticks Jingliang to the mat. Gets right into half guard and starts landing some decent shots on Jingliang, who reclaims his guard on the ground and gets into full guard and locks it off. And just sort of holds on bottom while Chimaev lands some body shots of total strikes. Got about a minute and a half left in the first round. Chimaev passes over, gets aggressive, lands bigger shots, goes for a submission, tries to take the back but loses position to Jingliang. But he scrambles and still keeps a good position with Jingliang maybe up on his knees against the cage. And Chimaev getting the body lock position, landing some knees to the fire, landing some knees as Jingliang gets back up, which makes him go back down to one knee and play the game again. Then he lands some punches there towards the end of the round. Second round comes around. They both swing. Jingliang lands a big shot. Chimaev's like, cool, that was a good one, moves back a bit, gives him a bit more respect. Jingliang swings again. This time Chimaev comes underneath it with like a lead uppercut and then maybe a good right hook afterwards as well. And then Jingliang sort of gets stumbled, falls down for a second, and instinctively, because he's hurt, shoots for a bad takedown. Chimaev sprawls it, lands the dash choke, gets it in, locks it up, gets the submission win via dash choke in the second round over Li Jingliang, and that's what we're doing. No! Yeah, do I want to go TKO though? I don't know what I want to go with. I'm going to go submission again, surely, because Chimaev will lock up. I think he rocks him on the feet. I don't think he'll go for a TKO, because Chimaev's punches aren't that strong. I think he'll look to sink it up. I'm changing my mind. I'm going submission with a dash choke for Khamzat Chimaev. That's how I'm envisioning it. And that's how I'm envisioning it right now. So I'm going to go submission, dash choke, second round for Chimaev. Moving on up the card. Alexander Volkov versus Marcin Tybura. I'm going to go with Alexander Volkov by decision here. I think he's going to win this one 30-27 with some close rounds, maybe in the third. I think the first two rounds are just going to be Alexander Volkov landing bigger shots, earning Tybura's respect, landing front kicks to the body, landing leg kicks of his own. Tybura having moments of pushing Volkov up against the cage, but typically it's going to be Volkov separating from the fence, landing big shots, landing a good knee to the body on Tybura and separating, landing a couple of good jabs, winning the first two rounds on strikes at range, overall with front kicks, jabs, long range strikes. Then Tybura starts to wear on him on the third, gets some decent moments against the cage with good head position, lands a couple of body shots, lands some knees to the thigh, gets a takedown for a second with Volkov on one knee against the cage. Volkov works his way back up, about 2 minutes left in the third round. Volkov separates again, wins the rest of the third round on the feet against Tybura, who maybe lands a couple of decent shots back, but Volkov's going to win the fight overall 30-27. Moving on up the card, Islam Makhachev versus Dan Hooker. I'm going to go with Islam Makhachev. 29-28 unanimous decision over Dan Hooker. I don't see a finish happening here. I see a Dan Hooker first round. I really do. I think Makhachev's going to go out there in the first round and back up immediately and just see what Dan Hooker wants to do. I think Dan Hooker's going to start the fight chopping shin to shin in the center of the cage. Outside leg, he's going to chop the calf kick a couple of times as well. He's going to land about 4 calf kicks, a couple of stiff jabs in the first minute. Makhachev lands a jab back maybe at one point and then just shoots a single leg, pushes Hooker against the cage after the first minute of the round and sees what he's got there, pushes Hooker to the cage, gets the double underhook, gets the over-under position. They're fighting there for a bit. Hooker lands a couple of knees, Makhachev lands a couple of knees, Makhachev lands a couple of body punches as well. Hooker separates from the takedown. The takedown has not been achieved. They stand in the center again. It's a very slow-paced fight. They're both worried about what they're going to do. I think Hooker's going to throw a shot, get caught a little bit overconfident, and Makhachev maybe lands like a big right hand in the first round, gets Hooker's respect, 2 moves. Makhachev then shoots again and pushes him against the cage. Get us a split takedown, but Hooker again, total strikes in the clinch, gets the over-under position back against the cage, lands a couple of good knees to the body, Makhachev knees at the fires, he lands a couple of body punches back as well, but Hooker separates again, lands like a jab, jab two, lands the knee on Makhachev against the cage, who shoots again to a failed takedown that Hooker stuffs immediately and moves him away. Now people are thinking, oh, is Hooker going to do quite well? Then Makhachev takes his distance, lands like a good body kick on Dan Hooker, who lands a stiff jab at the same time. Dan Hooker lands another good calf kick at the end of the first round, a good inside leg kick at the end of the first round, and then maybe a jab to finish it off. First round to Dan Hooker on damage, even though Makhachev was controlling him against the cage in moments and having his own decent moments on the feet as well. In the second round, Hooker stuffed a lot of takedowns. Makhachev is going to, after the first minute of at range, striking, pitter-patter shots, no one really landing anything clean. He's going to push Dan Hooker up against the cage. He's going to knee at the thigh. He's going to get a split-second takedown for a moment. Dan Hooker on one knee against the cage, and then Islam Makhachev's going to be kneeing at the thigh. Whenever Dan Hooker wants to get back up, he's going to put one hook in, threaten him with a back take. Dan Hooker's going to stop getting back up. He's going to try and get the whizzer. Makhachev's going to land some good punches as he tries to reach over, which makes him not want to go for the whizzer. He's going to try and tuck his elbow and go round underneath and come up in over-under. Makhachev lands some more knees to the thigh, lands some good shots again. Dan Hooker works his way back up. Makhachev goes for like an outside trip and gets Dan Hooker down against the cage, who's sat up against the cage while Makhachev's trying to cliffside the legs, Khabib style, trying to go up the legs. Makhachev doing good on the feet, lands a couple of shots again on the ground, Hooker works his way out of that position with the leg triangle, gets back to one knee against the cage. Makhachev just doing this over and over, kneeing to the fire, couple of body shots. Hooker throws a couple of knees back, a couple of good punches. Then Islam Makhachev goes for a single leg, tries to change sides, change angles. Hooker locks up a guillotine at the end of the round. It's not quite in. He gives it up. Makhachev stands up in the clinch just to alleviate the guillotine pressure, and Dan Hooker is at the end of round 2. A little bit more tired. Makhachev wins round 2 from the grappling and the total strikes. Round 3, Makhachev does the same thing. This time, he picks up Hooker in round 3, slams him in the center of the cage, gets into half guard at about 2 minutes left of the round, lands a couple of good shots, goes for like an arm triangle attempt or like a Von Flue choke, but Dan Hooker doesn't tap, earns his way out of it, still on the ground, tries to scramble up to one leg, gets back to his feet for a moment at the end of round 3 with about 2 minutes to go, lands a couple of good strikes on the feet. Makhachev lands a couple of good strikes back. Makhachev shoots a takedown within like the last 30 seconds, gets another split takedown, no damage done, but he's won the third round quite clearly with clear takedowns and some good submission attempts and a couple of good ground and pound strikes. Makhachev wins 29-28. Moving on up the card, Petr Yan versus Corey Sandhagen. I'm going to go with Petr Yan by 5th round TKO finish over Corey Sandhagen. I think the first round is going to be Corey Sandhagen's round. I think he's going to be coming out there. They're both going to be landing some good leg kicks early. Sandhagen lands a couple of good blocked head kicks, a couple of stiff body kicks that he lands on Yan that Yan takes quite well and pats his stomach to and ushers Sandhagen on. Sandhagen keeps moving. Yan lands a couple of good punches on the feet, a couple of good body shots. Sandhagen throws like a jump knee. Yan clinches up into it. They get in the clinch. Yan drags down a hand of Sandhagen on the exit, lands an elbow over the top which cuts open Sandhagen's eye. He's got blood coming down from one eye now in the first round. They both go back to landing leg kicks, landing good kicks to the body and stuff like that. Yan starts throwing some head kicks up higher, starts looking for his jab, lands a couple of the jabs. Sandhagen starts jabbing back, lands a couple of body shots in the first round at the end of it. Sandhagen wins the first round overall on activities, landing a few more leg kicks, a few more body shots, a few more shots at range. Sandhagen wins the first round, but he's cut over one eye around here. Second round, Yan starts doing a bit better now. Lands some good shots on Sandhagen again, starting to win the leg kick battle a little bit more. Sandhagen's also doing quite well, lands like a good shot again on the chin of Yan. Yan backs up a bit, gives him some respect. Sandhagen goes for like a spinning back kick to the body, misses it slightly. Yan turns to the side, grabs the kick, takes the back of Corey Sandhagen, sweeps him to the ground, lands a couple of good ground and pound punches. Sandhagen rolls over to try and get full guard on the ground. Petr Yan stacks the guard, lands a couple of good body shots on Sandhagen around the halfway point of the round. Sandhagen attacks the leg. Yan lands a couple of more big shots on the chin of Sandhagen on the ground as he attacks the leg. Sandhagen's close to getting a leg lock attempt, maybe going for a heel hook or something like that. Yan steps out of it, separates at range. 2 minutes left of the round. Sandhagen's on his back. Yan standing above him, kicks his legs a couple of times while he's got his legs up on the ground. More times he's kicking the legs. The referee's like, do you want him up? Do you want him up? After 30 seconds, he does. Minute 30 left in in the round. Jan lands a couple more leg kicks. Sandhagen lands a couple of good punches. Sandhagen maybe wins the last part of the striking department in the first minute or the last minute of the second round, but Jan's done enough damage on the ground and pound to win himself the second round. Third round comes around. Both guys on the feet again. This time, Jan lands a big shot on the feet on Sandhagen, hurts him quite badly. Sandhagen strikes back at the end of the third round. I think that after a close third round on the feet, Sandhagen gives up his back again. This time, Petr Yan uses the cross sweep on him, takes the back position, switches his legs over and sort of throws Sandhagen over his leg, gets into a crucifix position, lands some good ground and pound shots, takes the back maybe for a second with body triangle in, attacks a rear naked choke that Sandhagen defends and eventually earns his way out of and ends up on top at the end of the third round. Third round goes to Jan. No, he's controlled it. He's landed the bigger shots. Fourth round, Jan drops Sandhagen. Then he lands some more big shots. Sandhagen's throwing back. A couple of body shots land. A couple of front kicks to the body. A couple of good leg kicks. Starts looking like Sandhagen's coming back after being knocked down all of a sudden. Jan lands a solid calf kick. Sweeps Sandhagen off of his feet for a second, who ends up on his back again. Then Jan postures up in the guard again. Lands big shots to the body. Lands big shots to the head. Sandhagen's covering up. He's taking some damage now. The cut over the eye. He's got a bit of a broken nose. His eye's starting to swell up. Big shots from Jan. He lands more ground and pound shots. The round ends. Sandhagen's been beaten up quite badly. It's a 10-8 round. Fifth round starts. Both guys go again. Decent strikes on the feet. Sandhagen's still in there. He's so tough. Throws a flying knee. Jan catches it. Dunks him on the ground. Passes over the guard. Lands big shots. Postures up from half guard. Big elbow. Big ground and pound. Sandhagen turns over against the cage. Doesn't really want it anymore. Jan's got wrist control. He's pounding the head. Big shots from Jan. Fifth round TKO for Petr Yan. Moving on to the main event. Jan Blachowicz versus Glover Teixeira. I'm going to go with Jan Blachowicz via first round TKO finish, or KO finish, I guess you could say. I think they're both going to start very, very patient. I think Glover Teixeira is going to be looking to land his jab early. I think Jan Blachowicz is going to out-jab him slightly. I think Jan might land a couple of jabs to the body. Glover might push him up against the cage, but Jan gets the double underhooks, lands a good knee, lands a good punch, separates from the cage. Glover tries to keep the pressure on, circling, stepping over slowly, cutting off the cage, trying to land some lead hooks and 1-2 down the pipes. Jan Blachowicz lands a couple of good stiff shots through the guard of Glover Teixeira, who's got a very wide guard. Blachowicz sets him up for that wide guard with a couple of wide hooks. Glover starts bringing the guard a little bit wider. Jan Blachowicz sneaks a good 1-2 crisp through the guard of Glover. Lands two big shots. Glover starts stepping backwards a bit. Recovers himself, shoots a takedown, it fails. Jan separates, stands up, kicks the legs a couple of times, get Glover back up on his feet. Glover pressures him again, cutting off the cage. He starts to look to duck under a couple of hooks at Jan Blachowicz, leads him into a shovel hook from Jan Blachowicz from the left hand shovel hook, as Glover Teixeira tries to duck under what he thinks is a left hook, and I think Jan Blachowicz is going to slump him. Glover crumples in on himself quite badly, flops backwards, starts to sort of posture himself back up, but Jan Blachowicz is already past the legs, separated to the side, landing hammer fists from side control while standing up, and I think he gets it done in the first round by KO against Glover Teixeira. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. That's what I think is going to happen. We'll see if it goes down. Goodbye.